Now, after a government bailout back in 2008, U.S. insurance giant AIG is reportedly facing more money problems. Now AIG may ask for, get this, another bailout from the American taxpayers. For more on this story, we're joined live from New York by our correspondent, Anastasia Churkina. She's in the financial capital right there herself. Anastasia, how serious are these money troubles? Put them in context, and what do they mean for AIG?
Well, Lauren, it looks like the problems are very big for AIG right now. What we've been seeing is the insurance business has been going pretty weak. The expenses have been peaking because AIG has been trying to pay the government loans back. And in an annual report that the company just issued, it states that its loss over the last 3 months of last year has been almost $9 billion, $8.9 billion in the last quarter to be exact. That is a lot of money. It's $65.51 per share. And of course, investors couldn't not react to this. They sent AIG's bid down by 7.5% in early trading. And basically, the concern on the market is that the insurance business needs to go much stronger and that the company needs to be more independent again. Of course, we all remember when last year AIG faced the biggest loss in history at $61.7 billion. And as the financial crisis really unraveled, the U.S. government jumped in and decided to help AIG with taxpayer cash by providing over $180 billion and in return getting 80% stake in AIG. But guess what? Only months after this bailout took place, the AIG CEOs just went and started distributing hundreds of millions of dollars to its employees in bonuses, including to people working in the unit that was largely blamed for triggering the catastrophe that actually ended up leading to the crisis. And it's important to keep in mind that now this latest filing coming out, and AIG has said that it might need to rely on more financial support from the government. It might need even more money. And whether or not this new bailout is going to take place, of course, remains to be seen, because even the spokesperson of AIG has been saying that this is no news at all, and AIG has been coming out with these warnings every once in a while, saying it might need more bailout money from the government. From the look of things right now, it looks like the company is not doing too well at all.
And whether or not another bailout occurs, as you mentioned, I'm sure there's had to be a huge reaction to this. You mentioned what investors have done with the stock price going down, but what about, U.S. politicians? They promised the American people the bailout would help avoid, further catastrophe, and now it sounds like we might be, possibly on the heels of one.
Well, Lauren, absolutely. We've been seeing a lot of the blame game has really been going around in circles, especially among U.S. politicians. They have been finger pointing and trying to place the blame on someone else. We have been hearing from the former Federal Reserve Chairman Paul Volcker, the man behind Obama's Volcker rule, which is now stuck in Senate, saying that he blames for the initial catastrophe AIG was faced with a lack of federal regulation and insufficient regulation on a state basis, too. He has been saying that regulators have basically been not looking outside the box and were looking in the wrong places for trouble. They completely ignored the reasons that led up to the catastrophe. These credit default swaps, which basically mean insuring against future default linked to different mortgage assets. They should have been looking there, but they tended to ignore that problem completely. We've been hearing a lot from former employees of AIG saying they blame other departments. They're saying this department said everything was fine, another department said everything was fine. So really a lot of finger pointing there too. And of course, last but not least, Treasury Secretary Geithner, we can't not mention him. He has been on Capitol Hill over 20 times. And the majority of these times, he was there to talk about AIG's troubles. We've been hearing from some congressmen saying that his story is becoming, quote, lame, because we know how he told the American people that unless this major bailout took place, there would be another Great Depression. So, with all the bickering going on and on, with all the finger pointing and trying to figure out what happened then, it looks like nobody's actually getting much wiser and trying to look into the problems that are taking place now.
Well, Anastasia, we'll certainly have to wait and see what happens. Of course, I want to remind that AIG was not one of the ones who paid back bailout money to the government, unlike most of the Wall Street banks that did. The government doesn't expect to get that money, and now it sounds like AIG could ask for more.